Someone actually complained that the ocean was too aggressive, and honestly, that wasn't even the weird part. If you think that's the bottom of the barrel, keep watching. 1. A major snack company once received a furious, all-caps complaint from a man insisting their potato chips had ruined his marriage. The crime? He claimed the crunch was too confident, and every time he opened a bag, his wife accused him of eating with an arrogant attitude. He demanded the company redesign the chip to be less assertive, as if engineers could politely ask a piece of fried starch to lower its self-esteem. He even suggested the company create a quiet, humble flavor for people seeking emotional peace. Somewhere in a corporate office, a customer service rep had to decide whether this man was joking, unwell, or conducting performance art with his digestive system. Meanwhile, the chips sat on shelves worldwide, blissfully unaware they had apparently contributed to the collapse of a committed relationship through the sheer audacity of existing with texture. 2. A toothpaste company received a formal complaint from a woman who insisted their whitening formula had failed her because after 2 weeks of use, she did not achieve Hollywood-level red carpet-ready illumination. She claimed she expected a smile, bright enough to reflect car headlights, and accused the company of false advertising because her teeth remained human-colored instead of celestial. She demanded a full refund, plus additional compensation for emotional disappointment, stating she had already told her coworkers to prepare their sunglasses for her arrival. When that dramatic reveal never happened, she blamed the toothpaste for ruining her social credibility. Somewhere in legal, a poor soul had to type the sentence, "Our product is not designed to emit light or create a glow visible from space," a response humanity should frame in a museum as evidence of corporate endurance under psychological warfare disguised as customer feedback. 3. One tech company received a complaint from a man who said his phone lied to him because the weather app predicted clear skies, but it rained during his golf game. He insisted the company reimburse him for his damp emotional state, his ruined afternoon, and, my personal favorite, the disrespect the clouds showed. According to him, the app's incorrect forecast represented a personal betrayal, like the phone had woken up with malicious intent and whispered to the sky, "Hey, let's mess with this guy." He demanded the CEO personally apologize and guarantee future weather accuracy within a 15-minute window, as if the corporation secretly owned the atmosphere and simply refused to admit it. Meteorologists everywhere would probably love to know who this customer is, because apparently he believes predicting rain is as simple as pressing a button labeled Cloud Management. 4. A cereal company once got a complaint from a parent who wrote, with sincere outrage, that the cartoon mascot on the box looked too judgmental and stared at their child with condescending eyes during breakfast. The parent claimed the mascot was silently criticizing their kid's life choices, which at age 6 mostly involved wearing shoes on the wrong feet and refusing vegetables. They demanded the artwork be redesigned so the character appeared more supportive of young consumers' emotional journeys. That's right, they wanted the mascot's eyebrows adjusted to be less aggressive. Imagine being in marketing and having to schedule a meeting where adults gather around a table to discuss whether a cartoon tiger looks annoyed at a child. Somewhere, an artist probably tried to make the tiger smile more, which only made it look like it knew a disturbing secret. 5. A clothing retailer received a complaint from a customer furious that their new sweater didn't make them look rich enough. The person insisted the model on the website appeared effortlessly wealthy, and therefore the sweater itself should have transferred at least some level of perceived affluence upon arrival. When this magical transformation didn't occur, they demanded a refund for the sweater and for their damaged social image. They explained, very seriously, that the sweater made them look like someone who shops during sales, which, spoiler alert, they absolutely did. They insisted the company's marketing was misleading because no one in the photos looks like they have coupon codes. Meanwhile, the sweater, an innocent piece of knitted fabric, simply existed, blissfully unaware that it had failed to instantly elevate its wearer into the socioeconomic stratosphere. 6. A beverage company once received a complaint accusing them of changing the molecular personality of their soda. The customer claimed the drink tasted sadder than it did in previous years and suggested the company had tampered with its emotional profile. They demanded the soda be restored to its classic cheerful taste, as if carbonation could suffer from depression. They even described the flavor in increasingly poetic terms, calling it a a once bubbly companion that now feels distant, like a roommate avoiding eye contact. Customer service was forced to respond with the scientifically correct statement that the beverage did not, in fact, possess emotions and could not be melancholic. Still, the customer insisted they could sense something was off, proving once again that some people taste soda the way others read Victorian literature, full of imaginary heartbreak. 7. A massive fast food chain received a complaint from a man who said their burger looked nothing like the picture, a classic complaint, except he added that the ad should be considered binding visual truth. He argued, that the burger he saw in the commercial smoldered with charisma, whereas the burger he received looked like it had been hit by a truck full of bad decisions. He insisted the company compensate him for the loss of aesthetic pleasure, claiming the subpar presentation had ruined the vibe of his lunch break. He demanded they hire someone with more respect for symmetry because he believed a burger's physical beauty directly correlates with its flavor. Somewhere in PR, someone likely sighed deeply, updated the complaint spreadsheet, and resisted the urge to ask whether the customer wanted the burger styled by a fashion photographer before consumption. 8. A major airline received a complaint from a passenger insisting the sunrise they saw from their window seat was too bright, and therefore the airline should offer light-dimming technology for natural celestial events. They argued the sun should not be allowed to behave however it wants, and since the airline controls altitude, they should also control luminosity. They demanded compensation because the sunlight made them feel overexposed emotionally, a phrase future historians will surely study when investigating the collapse of human resilience. The airline, presumably suppressing a primal scream, had to respond that they do not regulate star activity, but the passenger insisted that other airlines fly around the sun's glow, which, unless those carriers have discovered new physics, is a level of optimism bordering on hallucination. 9. A tech retailer once received a complaint from a man who returned a laptop because it made him feel stupid. The device, according to him, performed tasks too quickly, giving the impression it was judging his slow typing speed. He believed the computer should be designed to match the user's intelligence level, meaning this man wanted the laptop to artificially lag so he felt smarter. He even claimed the machine beeped in a sarcastic tone when he made errors, which either indicates he's never used a computer or he's projecting the way a magician projects confidence. The return request listed the official reason as emotional incompatibility, which is one step away from trying couples counseling with a MacBook. 10. One pet food company once received a heated complaint from a man who said his cat did not display gratitude after being served their premium formula. He accused the company of misleading marketing because the commercial showed cats purring, nuzzling, and expressing appreciation, while his cat merely glanced at the bowl and walked away like a jaded celebrity refusing press interviews. He demanded a refund because the food did not improve their relationship, stating he had expected emotional bonding results, as if the company was selling a romance arc instead of kibble. Customer service had to gently explain that cats are famously indifferent creatures and no product on earth can guarantee they'll act like they care. The man responded by stating he would not reward emotional negligence, which is possibly the most dramatic sentence ever written about a feline. 11. A car manufacturer once received a complaint from a woman claiming her new vehicle did not make her look mysterious enough. She said the marketing portrayed drivers as enigmatic people with cinematic lighting, but when she drove hers, co-workers still recognized her at red lights. She felt the car failed to deliver the shadowy allure she believed was included with the purchase and suggested the company add optional mystery enhancements, which she did not define but strongly implied should involve vibes. She demanded either a refund or a feature that created dramatic fog around the car during arrival. Engineers had to respond with a very polite explanation that the vehicle is not a Hollywood prop and cannot generate atmospheric illusions on demand. 12. A cookie manufacturer once received a complaint from a parent furious that their cookies were too delicious, leading their kids to demand them regularly. The parent accused the company of weaponizing flavor and creating dependency, as though the cookies were engineered by a covert dessert cartel. They demanded the recipe be toned down, so their children could learn self-control without corporate interference. They even suggested the company create a version that tastes slightly disappointing, so kids wouldn't beg for more. Imagine being the recipe developer reading that. Most companies fight accusations that their products taste bland, Not that they taste like irresistible sin. But here stood one lone warrior begging for mediocrity in the snack aisle. 13. A fitness equipment brand received a complaint from a man upset that his treadmill didn't inspire him. He said the product listing created the impression that buying the machine would ignite a transformation. Yet after several months, he remained untransformed because he never used it. He insisted the treadmill should have motivated him through its presence and claimed the lack of results was due to the machine's passive energy. Customer service explained that he needed to physically activate the treadmill to receive any benefit, which he dismissed as an unfair expectation. He believed the machine should sense his intentions and encourage him telepathically. This is the moment fitness influencers everywhere collectively sighed. 14. A streaming service received a furious complaint from a customer who claimed the autoplay next episode feature was responsible for their life collapse. They said it allowed them to binge an entire season overnight, causing them to oversleep for work, ruin their productivity, and disconnect from reality. They insisted the service remove the autoplay feature or compensate them for lost hours, emotional fatigue, and existential drift. In other words, the company was accused of creating too convenient a viewing experience. They even suggested the platform implement a responsibility mode that locks out users after 3 episodes, as if the company should parent fully grown adults who cannot locate the pause button. 15. A major supermarket chain received a complaint from a man who was outraged that the bananas he purchased did not ripen according to his predicted schedule. He claimed he had a banana plan, and the fruit's failure to obey his timeline caused logistical chaos in his meals for the week. He demanded compensation for the psychological disruption of having ripe bananas when he wanted green ones, and green bananas when he wanted ripe ones. He also suggested the supermarket provide a ripeness guarantee calendar with every purchase, as though fruit ripens according to corporate deadlines instead of nature. Somewhere, an employee probably stared at the email, wondering if this man thought bananas operate on union rules. 16. A major theme park received a complaint from a woman who said the smell of popcorn followed her too aggressively, making her feel pursued by snack-based temptation. She insisted the park weaponized aroma to manipulate customers into buying food. She demanded the company dial down the seduction, describing the scent as predatory. She believed the wafting popcorn aroma compromised her ability to make nutritionally empowered decisions. Customer service likely had to explain that air exists, and odors tend to travel through it. Meanwhile, the popcorn machine continued doing what it always does, existing, popping kernels, and apparently violating the personal boundaries of unusually scent-sensitive guests. 17. A phone company received a complaint from a man who claimed the predictive text feature was gaslighting him. According to him, the suggestions made by the keyboard mocked his vocabulary, offering replacements he interpreted as condescending. He said the phone acted like it knew better and demanded an option to disable attitude-based autocorrect. He also insisted the device intentionally inserted typos to embarrass him publicly, ignoring the much simpler explanation that thumbs are not precision tools. Somewhere in software development, someone had to maintain a straight face while clarifying that the phone was not engaged in psychological manipulation. But to this man, the keyboard wasn't just predicting text, it was judging him. 18. A major sneaker brand once received a complaint from a man who insisted his new running shoes made him run too fast, causing him to look suspiciously athletic to strangers on the sidewalk. He claimed people were glaring at him like he was training for the Olympics without permission, and he didn't appreciate being perceived as someone with discipline. He demanded a version of the shoe that signals to onlookers that I'm not trying that hard, because apparently we've reached a point in society where footwear is responsible for protecting fragile reputations. He even suggested adding casual energy vents to slow the shoes down, which is exactly the type of idea you get when someone tries to justify returning a perfectly functional pair of sneakers using pure philosophical nonsense. 19. A major frozen food brand received a furious complaint from a customer who said the microwave instructions set unrealistic expectations because the meal did not come out restaurant quality. They insisted the company should clarify that microwaving a block of ice-coated pasta does not magically transform someone into a Michelin star chef, which is honestly a refreshingly self-aware accusation if it weren't delivered with volcanic rage. They claimed the packaging made them believe they'd get a soul-enriching dinner experience, but the result tasted like warm despair, a phrase that should honestly be trademarked by every frozen entree on Earth. They demanded the company reimburse them for the emotional toll of realizing that heating food for 3 minutes does not grant one a fine dining fantasy. 20. A well-known streaming service received a complaint from a man who insisted the "Are you still watching?" prompt was emotionally aggressive and felt like judgment from a digital overlord. He claimed the message implied he lacked self-control, which, based on the fact that he'd watched 12 consecutive hours of crime documentaries, was not exactly an unfair assumption. He demanded the company change the wording to something more supportive, like "You're doing great, champ, ready for more." The service declined, presumably because they did not want to be responsible for encouraging the world's most ambitious binge marathon. The man then accused the platform of shaming his lifestyle choices, proving once again that people will argue with anything if given a screen and enough time to procrastinate. 21. A major pet supply company once received a complaint from a woman who claimed her dog's toy did not spark joy. Not for the dog, but for her. According to her, the toy lacked visual charisma and failed to complement the aesthetic of her living room, therefore making it emotionally incompatible with the household. The dog, by the way, adored it, which apparently only made things worse because she felt it reflected poorly on her taste that her pet enjoyed such a hideous object. She demanded the company create a line of designer toys for cultured dogs, which suggests that at some point, pet ownership crossed the invisible line into personal branding. Meanwhile, the dog likely sat on the floor joyfully destroying the toy with zero knowledge it was at the center of. A civil war over interior design. 22. A major airline received a complaint from a passenger who said the clouds outside the window were too repetitive. He argued that the sky should include more variety and suggested the airline offer flights with unique cloud formations instead of the same fluffy piles every time. He asked if the company could schedule more interesting weather along the route, showing an impressive commitment to misunderstanding both nature and aviation. Customer service, in its infinite patience, explained that the airline does not design the sky like it's running a theme park attraction. The passenger rejected this explanation, claiming other carriers fly through more interesting skies, which raises the question of whether he thinks pilots choose routes based on aesthetic vibes rather than air traffic control and physics. 23. A cereal company once received a complaint from a man who believed the shapes of the cereal pieces were mocking him. He claimed the loops resembled tiny, judgmental mouths, silently criticizing his breakfast choices. He demanded they change the shape to something neutral and emotionally safe, as though grain-based geometry holds psychological power. He described pouring the cereal into the bowl and feeling observed, which is a level of projection usually reserved for conspiracy theorists staring at ceiling tiles. Customer service assured him that cereal does not possess facial expressions or opinions, even in clusters, but he remained convinced the breakfast aisle was spiritually targeting him. It's unclear whether he continued to eat the cereal or switched to something less confrontational, like oatmeal. 24. A grocery chain received a complaint from a woman outraged that her apples did not taste like the ones in the commercial. She claimed the apples on TV looked more fulfilled, while hers tasted emotionally dull, which is either avant-garde poetry or the first documented case of someone trying to break up with fruit. She demanded the store inject more vibrance into their produce, a phrase no farmer has ever used outside of hallucinations. When customer service explained that apples are subject to natural variation, she accused the store of selling emotionally negligent fruit and began referencing the apple's energy level, which suggests she may have been shopping for gemstones rather than groceries. The apples continued being apples, blissfully unaware they were disappointing someone's spiritual expectations. 25. A smartphone company once received a complaint from a man insisting his device was too good at taking pictures, making his life appear falsely glamorous. He claimed the camera created an unrealistic representation of his daily activities, making it seem like he intentionally curated aesthetic moments, rather than just walking past a reasonably clean sidewalk. Friends and co-workers accused him of trying too hard, and instead of simply explaining that the camera functioned well, he blamed the manufacturer for crafting a lens that distorted reality by making it look nice. He demanded a software update that would degrade the quality to match his lifestyle, essentially asking engineers to make the phone worse so that his Instagram followers wouldn't think he had his life together. 26. A major office supply company received a complaint from an employee who claimed the stapler they purchased was too assertive. They said the click was emotionally intrusive, and every time it snapped shut, it felt like the stapler was commenting loudly on their productivity. They demanded a quieter, more gentle-tempered stapler that would support their workflow instead of dominating it. They also accused the company of promoting hostile office energy through its design choices, which could only be described as an innovative reinterpretation of normal office sounds. Somewhere, a customer support agent likely stared at the complaint, wondering how close we are to an era where every object in a cubicle requires therapy. 27. A cosmetics company once received a complaint from a customer who said the lip balm lied because the flavor was labeled vanilla, yet it did not taste like the emotional warmth of childhood memories. She said the flavor felt cold and distant, like a vanilla that forgot its purpose in life. She insisted the company misled her by using a flavor name that promised nostalgia, but delivered only moisturized lips and mild disappointment. She demanded a rebranding to something more honest, like vanilla-ish, or vanilla with unresolved issues. It takes a special kind of dedication to expect a lip balm to provide a complete sensory journey through personal history. But here we are, living in the golden age of unreasonable expectations. 28. A food delivery company received a complaint from a man insisting that his order arrived too fast, making him feel like he wasn't worth the suspense. He claimed that waiting builds anticipation, and the driver robbed him of that emotional crescendo by being efficient. He said the quick delivery made him question whether the food was prepared with enough soul because the timeline felt suspiciously streamlined. He demanded the company implement a romantic waiting period so customers could savor the buildup of desire for their meal. As far as I can tell, he basically wanted DoorDash to act like a Victorian courtship, complete with longing distance and dramatic delays. 29. A home goods retailer once received a complaint from a customer who insisted their new lamp did not improve the intellectual atmosphere of their living room. They said the light felt too mundane and didn't inspire them the way the lamp in the advertisement seemed to inspire actors who pretended to read. They claimed the lamp should have made their home feel philosophically richer, but instead it just illuminated the furniture like a normal lamp, which was apparently unacceptable. They demanded a lamp that radiates a sense of academic gravitas, as if illumination technology should imbue users with deep thoughts instead of visibility. Someone in customer service probably had to fight the urge to suggest buying a book instead. 30. A clothing brand received a complaint from a woman who said her new jacket had too much confidence. She claimed the structure of the shoulders made her look like someone who makes decisive choices, which she found misleading and socially dangerous. According to her, the jacket projected an aura of competence she did not possess, causing coworkers to assign her tasks she was unprepared for. She demanded the brand offer a more timid version of the jacket that communicates emotional softness. Fashion designers likely read the email wondering when clothing stopped being fabric and started being a personality consultant. 31. A major beverage company received a complaint from a man claiming his sparkling water was too enthusiastic. The carbonation level, he said, felt like it was trying too hard to impress, creating a socially exhausting drinking experience. He said he wanted a beverage that respects personal boundaries, not one that jumps aggressively onto the tongue like a Labrador greeting guests. He demanded a calmer bubble profile, which is probably the first time carbonation has been asked to tone down its energy level. Meanwhile, scientists everywhere are trying to understand how someone managed to anthropomorphize a drink into an overeager extrovert. 32. A telecommunications company once received a complaint from a customer who said their hold music was emotionally manipulative. According to them, the cheerful melody made them feel artificially hopeful about their wait time, which turned out to be much longer than anticipated. They said the music created a false sense of optimism, leading to emotional whiplash when a representative didn't answer for 27 minutes. They demanded the company switch to honest music, their suggestion being a slow, droning hum that communicates, "You will be here forever." Honestly, that might be the most unreasonable suggestion in customer complaint history. 33. A major mattress company received a complaint from a woman who insisted her new bed wasn't dreaming friendly. She said the mattress didn't support whimsical thought, and as a result, her dreams felt less cinematic. She claimed the ad implied she'd enter a soft, cloud-like realm of imagination. But instead, she woke up remembering absolutely nothing, which she deemed an unacceptable failure. She demanded the company engineer a creativity-enhancing sleep surface, which is a polite way of asking for a bed that functions as a muse. Meanwhile, the mattress, like all mattresses, simply existed to prevent her from sleeping on the floor. 34. A major snack company received a complaint from a man claiming their crackers did not spark conversation, despite being labeled as perfect for gatherings. He said his guests barely spoke while eating them, which he interpreted as evidence that the crackers were socially ineffective. He demanded the company adjust the seasoning mix to encourage livelier dialogue, as if paprika contains the secret to human connection. He even asked whether they could add a hint of charisma to the recipe. Somewhere, deep in the heart of corporate America, someone had to write back explaining that the crackers' job is to be edible, not to serve as freelance party hosts. 35. A major candle company once received a complaint from a woman who insisted her lavender candle did not lower her stress levels on command, which she apparently believed was part of the fragrance's legal obligation. She claimed that after lighting it, she still felt anxious, meaning the candle had failed at its job. She demanded reimbursement for the candle and for wasted emotional effort because she had done her part by sitting near it, and the candle refused to deliver inner peace. She suggested the company include a warning label clarifying that customers may still experience human feelings while using this product. Somewhere, an employee surely had to resist the urge to reply, "Ma'am, it's wax, not a licensed therapist." 36. A major tech company received a complaint from a man who said his virtual assistant had too much confidence and answered questions like it knew things better than he did. He was offended that when he asked for directions, the assistant used a tone he interpreted as slightly smug, which is impressive considering it doesn't have vocal cords, emotions, or the ability to roll its eyes, yet somehow still managed to outdo his self-esteem. He demanded a meek mode, where the assistant would sound unsure and apologetic, saying things like, "I might be wrong, but," so that his ego wouldn't feel threatened by a cylinder that sits on a shelf. The company declined, presumably because they were not prepared to develop an AI that whispers apologies for existing. 37. A major bank once received a complaint from a customer who said their money was too digital. They insisted that the numbers on their banking app felt cold, distant, and inorganic, and demanded the bank convert their balance into a warmer font or a more emotionally supportive color scheme. They blamed the sterile aesthetic for disrupting their financial confidence, as though Helvetica personally sabotaged their savings. When the bank explained that the numbers represented actual account data, not money vibes, the customer accused them of weaponizing minimalism. They even requested a mode where their balance is displayed in handwritten script to feel more personal, which is exactly the type of idea that makes cybersecurity professionals break out in hives. 38. A major chocolate brand received a complaint from someone claiming the wrapper opened too easily, causing them to eat the candy before they had emotionally prepared for the calories. They said the wrapper should require a moment of contemplation, preferably resistance, so they could reconsider. They demanded a redesign featuring a slightly more judgmental seal, which honestly would make every checkout aisle feel like an intervention. They explained that since they opened the wrapper without realizing it, the company was technically responsible for their impulsive decision. Somewhere in PR, someone likely stared at the email and wondered if this is how we get warning labels like, "Caution, opening this chocolate may result in consumption." 39. A large furniture brand received a complaint from a man insisting the bookshelf he purchased encouraged too much reading. He claimed that once it was assembled, he felt obligated to fill it with books, which then made him feel guilty for not reading them. He described the bookshelf as smug wooden pressure and said its presence created an oppressive aura of productivity expectations. He demanded compensation for the psychological burden of self-improvement. The company politely explained that the shelf's purpose was to hold objects, not curate his personality. But he remained convinced the furniture was silently judging his lifestyle, proving once again that some people can turn anything, literally anything, into a source of existential dread. 40. A major beauty brand received a complaint from a customer who insisted the face mask she bought did not deliver the journey of self-discovery implied by the packaging. Instead of feeling renewed, she simply felt slightly sticky, which she claimed was spiritually disappointing. She expected the mask to guide her to a deeper emotional truth, but instead learned only that most beauty products are scented glue with branding. She demanded a refund for the mask and a written apology for misleading her about her inner potential. She even suggested the company include a disclaimer: this product cannot resolve internal crises. Frankly, if it could, it would cost more than $14.90. 41. A travel agency received a complaint from a man who was deeply offended that his vacation destination did not match the energy of the brochure. He insisted the island felt less majestic, describing it as approximately 12% less magical than advertised. When the agent pointed out that weather, crowds, and personal expectations can shape experiences, he replied that the company should have scheduled a more cinematic atmosphere. He demanded reimbursement for the emotional gap between what he imagined and what he got, claiming the resort did not live up to his mental trailer. I would pay good money to see the therapist who eventually got that line in a session. 42. A gaming company received a complaint from a woman who said her favorite character did not compliment her enough, claiming the hero should reflect appreciation for the player's time investment. She believed the character should acknowledge her dedication with occasional affirmations like, "You're doing amazing, by the way," to boost morale during gameplay. She accused the company of neglecting her self-esteem by designing a gratitude-deficient protagonist. She demanded a patch that added emotional support dialogue, effectively turning the character into a digital friend who validates her life choices. At this point, I'm convinced that half of customer support work is gently explaining that fictional characters do not owe anyone a relationship. 43. A major snack company received a complaint from someone who said their pretzels twisted too aggressively, creating anxiety-inducing geometry. They claimed the shape felt chaotic, and the snack should display a more orderly structure for emotional balance. They suggested pretzels adopt gentle curves instead of militarized angles, which is a truly powerful misunderstanding of baked dough. The company replied that pretzels have been twisted the same way for centuries and are not symbols of emotional turbulence. But the customer insisted the shape visually attacked their sense of calm. Somewhere in HR, someone probably wrote a note that read, "Responded. Do not engage further." 44. A fitness company received a complaint from a man who claimed his yoga mat betrayed him because it rolled up too eagerly after class. He interpreted the curl as a sign that the mat was eager to be done with him, which made him feel unappreciated as a customer. He insisted the mat should lie flat for at least 10 minutes post-workout, as a gesture of mutual respect. Customer service had to explain that yoga mats naturally roll due to material memory, not emotional boundaries. He then asked if they offered a mat with a more loyal disposition, which is the closest we've ever gotten to someone trying to date their exercise equipment. 45. A major fashion retailer received a complaint from a woman who insisted her blouse failed to attract compliments during an event. She believed the garment had underperformed socially and accused the company of overselling its charisma. She demanded compensation for lost praise opportunities and suggested including a guarantee on clothing tags promising minimum compliment counts. When the company politely declined, probably because even the most powerful textiles cannot control human speech, she accused them of selling personality fraud. Meanwhile, the blouse quietly remained a blouse, entirely unaware it had been placed under the scrutiny of a performance review. 46. A tech accessories company received a complaint from a customer who insisted their phone case made his phone too confident, claiming the new protective shell gave the device a sturdier walk and cocky energy when placed on a table. He insisted the company should tone down the design because the phone now looked like it judged him for dropping it in the first place. Customer service, displaying the stoicism of ancient monks, had to explain that cases cannot alter the personality of electronics. He responded by requesting a case with humble energy. Someone in product development probably muttered, "How humble? Like beige?" 47. A subscription meal service received a complaint from a woman who said the recipe cards talked down to her. She claimed the step-by-step instructions felt patronizingly clear, which made her feel like the company assumed she couldn't cook. She demanded less helpful instructions so she could feel more trusted, suggesting they leave more room for interpretation so she could express creativity without being micromanaged by paper. The company, wisely avoiding confrontation, offered her more advanced recipes. She rejected them because they were too advanced, proving once again that some customers are not seeking solutions. They are seeking the exact right amount of dissatisfaction. 48. A major beverage company once received a complaint from someone who believed their iced tea didn't feel wise enough. They said the drink tasted pleasant but lacking gravitas, and they wanted a tea that sips like it has life experience. They demanded a version with a more philosophical aftertaste, which I'm fairly certain is just hot tea left to steep far too long. The company responded with admirable restraint, explaining that beverages do not possess wisdom, even artisanal ones. The customer insisted the marketing led them to expect a drink with thoughts, which might be the most poetic misunderstanding in the history of liquid complaints. 49. A mattress topper company received a complaint from a couple who said the product did not save their relationship, despite the brand's promise of better sleep. They claimed the topper failed to resolve tension about household chores, in-laws, and thermostat settings, and therefore constituted false advertising. They demanded a refund for the topper and partial reimbursement for 2 therapy sessions they believed shouldn't have been necessary if the product worked as described. The company clarified that better sleep refers to physical rest, not emotional reconciliation. The couple remained unconvinced, insisting the foam had underperformed as a conflict resolution tool. The foam, of course, remained blissfully unaware that it had been dragged into marital politics. 50. A major toothpaste brand received a complaint from a man who said brushing twice a day was too much responsibility, and the company should develop a formula that maintains dental health without requiring user participation. He claimed modern oral care standards were unfair to busy lifestyles and that brushing should be replaced with something more passive, like tooth vapor or oral hygiene mist. When customer service explained that brushing is necessary for dental maintenance, he accused the industry of perpetuating a tooth care conspiracy designed to force people into routines. He demanded the company innovate effortless dentistry, which is an incredible request for someone who won't move a toothbrush for 45 seconds. 51. And finally, a massive household brand received a complaint from a man who said his vacuum cleaner made his house look dirtier, because once he started cleaning, he noticed more mess than before. He claimed the vacuum should shield him from unpleasant truths, not expose them. He demanded a feature that lightly blurs reality so he doesn't feel pressured to clean thoroughly, essentially asking for a device that performs selective dishonesty. And that right there, fact number 51, is the perfect encapsulation of these complaints. The customer didn't want a better vacuum, he wanted a vacuum that lies to him. And honestly, if that isn't the most beautifully stupid corporate request ever made, I don't know what is. And there you have it, a full-blown parade of complaints so unhinged they make reality feel optional. Drop your pick for the dumbest one in the comments, add your own if humanity has blessed you with worse, and hit like and subscribe if you're brave enough for round 2.